work here for Webnode. Thank you everybody, some of my colleagues were here. It was nice to see everybody. Originally I would just speak a little bit about like my formation and so on. I studied language arts and translation in Brazil and logistics. I have close to 12 years of experience with translation. Here in the Czech Republic with Webnode, I do customer care for Portuguese, and I did online PR for them as well. Before coming to the Czech Republic, I lived it for almost 4 years in the United States. And there, I got a certification in social media management. I would say that more than work, anything for me related to social media, it is really passion. It's just something I love and that I really don't see as work. And well, the title of this presentation may sound a little bit arrogant when I saw it at first. But it's not something that I created. I got this title from an article published by the Wall Street Journal in April of this year. And basically they in Brazil and are close to 100 million internet users that we have there, actually actively using the internet as the big potential. So I think you can. Okay, I would try to start with this, like pretty much a picture of the usage of the internet, like in terms of audience in the world. And Latin America has, as you see, 8% of that. And 35% of the Latin America audience is located in Brazil. As I said, it's almost 100 million people. Yeah, here you have a little bit more of the picture of the online audience also in Brazil and in different countries of Latin America. And it's saying that Brazil, it's ranked as the 7th largest internet audience. This is from Comscore in December of 2012. I was checking numbers yesterday also as I was preparing for this. They were saying that Brazil actually has jumped to 3rd on that. So, the really interesting thing about Brazilian users is it's a country like in development, and most of the users, as you can see, they are like in the age range of 25 to 34 years old. So it's pretty much a lot of I would say like young users. Okay, this is a lot of text, but basically I just wanted like to say that Brazil is one of the largest like IT markets nowadays. Like it's 154 billion dollars like to be made in money like in 2000 as expectations by 2014 in related just to IT. We have an expanding middle class. That has, as I said, growing a lot and has a lot of potential to buy. And that has been becoming more as we have a lot of internet users. A lot of this money, of course, is going as well to internet and e-commerce and so on. One interesting thing about Brazil is that our culture, a lot of what we have on social media and life in general is built through relationships, through building relationships. So that is a key thing, I guess, to be able to relate to doing business in general in Brazil. It's always through building relationships, and it's no different. There's no difference on that also through social media. As I said, most of of the users of the internet are in the age range of 18 to 24 years old, and also 25 to 34. And regarding social media and so on, Facebook is leader. And actually, we are the second biggest country for the number of Facebook users nowadays. Okay, so regarding like the time that we spend online, I have this picture. Brazil is divided like in 5 main regions. So you can actually see that we spend a lot of time online. You can see, I would say that seen by most people, the economic heart of the country is the southeast. But if you check that picture, you can see that the amount of time that people usually spend online is actually quite similar. So yeah, this is another picture of that, but also related like a little more to age. So you can really see that the younger part of the population is the one who's using more the internet. Okay. This is I want to try to paint like a general like landscape. These are actually I just took a print screen really like on news articles that I saw. The first one is talking about the research by KPMG International that Brazil is once again championing the number of users in social media. And these another one that's an organization that also does statistics related like to users of different products and so on, as well as internet. And it was saying that the number of users, this is actually from March, the number of active internet users had gone over 45 million people. But those statistics that I got on the top, they are from Comscore. And you can see that the projection actually is for 33 million users. And that is going to grow even more, like for next year, getting close to 80 million users. You, if you want to do business and you don't use social media in Brazil, it's just a thing really, really dumb, basically saying so. Okay, I will just try to paint like a small picture of social media in Brazil. I am myself like a heavy user. I have been always. For being shy and so on, I always felt more protected behind a screen. So I saw part of this history. I don't know, was Orkut used here a lot? No. Have you guys heard about it at all? Okay. Orkut started being widely used in Brazil in 2000, between 2004 and 2005, and we were the how can I say, the so-called like the biggest amount of users that Orkut actually had were Brazilians. It was Brazil and then India. I was reading actually like this morning that at one point in Brazil, Orkut had 8 times more users than Facebook. Well, Orkut dealt a lot with what they call like scraps, like in posting scraps and so on, and then a lot with forums, and it is something like that was created and related to Google. It still is, it still exists, but to the surprise of many, in 2011, it took Facebook 6 years to top the Orkut users. And you don't hear a lot of Brazilians talking about it, even though it is owned company, like it's a social network owned by Google. You don't see a lot of videos on that anymore. We have like now, from the numbers I checked this morning, around 30 million users of that. there are still like possibilities for companies that want to engage with users. I wouldn't really recommend it, but there are still users there. But I just brought this up because I think it was the first really big way of doing social networking that showed the power of Brazil regarding like engaging not just with other people but for brands. Like Orkut was used a lot more for really the Brazilian way, as we call that. The Brazilians are hyper social, and it was used more for general like communication between people, not really business. But yeah, this is a picture that is saying why Orkut pretty much, why do you miss Orkut or something. But it's not really used. I still have my profile on that, but I don't use much. And this is a picture also from Comscore that shows the numbers and the most used social media networks in Brazil. And you can see, of course, Facebook as first, and then you have Twitter as well. You have LinkedIn, and you have like this other MySpace at some point that is like right down the bottom. At some point was competing with Orkut. Around 2004 and 2005 competed with Orkut in number of users, but now it's gone. Okay, just painting a picture of Facebook. We have, according like to the statistics, like close to 70 million users. It is a national preference. For 81% of the people that were interviewed in this research, Facebook is the most important way of communicating online. Then you have some other ones that are coming and growing, like Google Plus. And you have LinkedIn, and of course, this is from a Brazilian research group, but it shows that Orkut is just in decline. And yeah, this is, I decided to put just for you guys to, how can I say, to give facts. That was published in the Wall Street Journal, showing that that for Facebook, Brazil is the second largest market. So it is an important way, like if you have a brain and so on, having a presence, especially on Orkut, is just essential. Okay, and now regarding Twitter accounts. Brazil also is second. It's the same situation with Facebook. One interesting thing is that I remember when I left Brazil close like to 5 years ago, I wouldn't really see this picture coming. But Facebook opened an office in Brazil. We have an office in São Paulo. Twitter, I got this quote from one of the leaders from Twitter. They have just opened an office also in Brazil. And it's interesting that they are saying that that they believe that the new office will allow them to get closer to the users in general. And it's interesting that they talk specifically about trying to monetize it. The huge part of the impression that I have, and I see that it's a mindset that is changing in Brazil, is a lot of the social networking that we used to do was more related, as I said, to fun. It was never a business. It was never something that you would think that you could make money off. And we have seen numbers changing regarding that. We have been seeing companies trying to make sure that they have an online presence and actually profiting from that. And when you see toward the top, the social media networking sites turning their eyes to Brazil, it's because there's something there. So yeah, and they have apparently like a big plans. Like Twitter has been engaging in a lot of actions regarding marketing and so on to expand their number of users and so on in Brazil. And okay, there's this I got from Forbes, and that Twitter is trying to be quite ambitious because to an extent they want to try to take the place that Orkut once had in our country, which was top social networking site. But it's also interesting. I thought that it would be worth mentioning the usage, and that is also, as I said, personally surprising because I think you all heard about a lot of the uprisings that we had around May and June in Brazil, right? The people protesting. It started the whole thing about the raise of the prices of transportation, and it went to corruption, and it just started escalating. Twitter was one of the main ways of propagating that. It's interesting that an interesting usage for Twitter for Brazilians, it's online activism, which is even more than I believe that we would do with Facebook. So I thought it was worth mentioning. Okay, regarding like online videos, you all probably heard about some singers that I personally don't like much, and so on, that started their presence like pretty much through online videos and especially YouTube. It's really widely used in Brazil, so if you want to do business there, here you have some of the numbers, and you can see that, of course, like Google Sites, it's on top, and with that, YouTube. A lot of the initiatives of the companies that are trying to expand markets and so on in Brazil are related to that. We have seen quite an interesting story with some videos going viral, like Michel Teló and all these things and so on, Brazilian singer, and is still like on that. For most of the companies and the readings that I have been doing, I see that especially with video, they try to engage in a more fun way. That you have to try to make it fun. It's business, but you still have to try to make it fun. Okay, these are the two pictures that I got like regarding social media and branding. On the research, it says that 93.3% of the users, like usually from Facebook, they do their like on companies, on products or services. So it's a pretty good way of guaranteeing like your presence. One interesting data is that like almost 50% of the users that liked a company and so on, they started admiring the company more. And I think that also comes from the mindset of Brazilians of really building a relationship with you to the point that, from the point that they actually connect with you online. And it's interesting that for customer care specifically, that it's saying that the social networks, they were the fourth channel most used to speak with companies. So there's potential not just really for selling their products, but also for communicating with users. So, yeah, I would just like one of the things that I want to try to do in being practical with things. I try to take some of the examples of branding, customer care done for some companies in Brazil. And I want to try to give some tips on how to use social media to expand your product and so on in Brazil, and the things you shouldn't do. For example, this first one, and I'm sorry because I had to take the screenshots in Portuguese, but I can try to explain a little bit. But it's just general, I would say general rules, like starting rules that you could use with your own company or your own branding. For example, this first one is literally, it says, the company is saying pretty much, this this page, people who like this page was just made for you to be into the updates of the company, but we don't want to receive complaints from you on this page. So they openly state that, and of course, Brazilians talk a lot, and as you can see from me, of course. And but Brazilians are really emotional, and that things can escalate and become really bad. For Brazilians, word of mouth is extremely important. As I said, a lot is done through relationships. So if I like something, I will either use social media to tell you, or I will go in person and tell you and encourage you to go and like that. Brazilians love technology. It's something that is growing a lot. And then you have a company that has the channel, and they state openly, oh, you can know updates, but we don't care about what you think. We don't want your complaint. So, of course, people started complaining, and it became a lot worse than that, and I didn't give the print screens because we didn't need to see the cuss words and so on. But it became really bad. Then, as I say, like, be open when you have this channel, and at the same time, be ready to receive complaints. And have people, like, one of the things that I say, usually have possibly natives dealing with that, because natives will have the culture insight and somehow learning how to go around a situation like this of the user complaining and so on. Then you will have this other one that it's another no-no. It's just the user is just pretty much saying, why, like in some Brazil, just deleting all the complaints that you make on your page. It's just, don't do that. Like, if you have something, openly deal with it, because if you delete, you're going to have problems, and you're going to have things escalating. Because as I said, Brazilians talk a lot, word of mouth, and you're going to have problems with your company. Okay, this is once again, this first one has a mistake on the word like astronomy, and it's interesting. First that I would say of using a native, then in being careful really with what you post, with typos and so on. Brazilians are really linked to image, and if they see something like that, like a mistake pointed like that, you're going, I think, to ruin a little bit the name of your brand and so on. Another thing is, okay, there's this other page that is against drinking and so on in Brazil. And they posted like this piece of news, and they it was related to some really famous actor in Brazil, and they posted the name of the guy wrong, spelled wrong. Once again, like it's a case, I think, of dishonesty, I guess. But it was interesting because the actor himself went to the page and complained, and he saw the mistake. And the company still insisted that they didn't do the mistake, and that the mistake was from someone else. And if you go like look for the history of this page and so on, the number of users and so on dropped a lot. If you're going to deal with Brazilians, and if there's anything wrong, if you did a mistake, be honest about it. It's better, because if not, you're going to suffer from that. Okay, these two are quite interesting. It's good. For the ones who don't understand Portuguese, it's good, because there are some not nice words. one is from this, I would say that it's the most famous case of social media and working for brands done like in a completely awful wrong way. This is a store called Vizu. They sell usually imported products. It's like it's for really supposedly special clients, really fancy store and so on. They sell everything online, and this user, who happens to be a journalist, decided to write to them because I think that they hadn't actually delivered the product or something, and literally, this is like the print screen of the messages that they exchanged, of course, inbox. But literally, the person replying, the community manager, replied literally telling the F word to the person. Literally, go F yourself. And saying, you are a piece of S something that I'm not going to say the rest. And this escalated. It's crazy because they didn't apologize for the situation. The company says that their number of users and so on grew after that because most of the people who like the brand, they are not what they call politically correct. But I just think that's an example of something that you shouldn't do. So yes, and the journalist actually sued the company using the print screens and so on. So be careful with what you post online as a community manager or owner of brand. This other one is the same thing. A user just asking questions about a product. It's a laundry place, and literally for no reason, the community manager starts insulting the person and saying the S word, the F word, and goes from that. So be careful with who you put to do community management for you not to face situations like this. As I said, Brazilians are emotional. Things will escalate, and for Brazilians, one interesting thing is that we sue people for everything. Everything we go to this organization called Procon, which, yeah, we hear a lot about it, Natia knows. So everything, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to get money from you, and blah, 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 and things can get ugly. And as I said, be careful, word of mouth. If you have any bad situation, clients that are not satisfied with anything, try to find a different way to deal with that instead of insulting them, like this show of insulting. And it will be better for your business. So, yeah, you can.
What does it mean, the last line?
This is how Brazilians laugh. This is but you don't need to know the outline, the people who understand Portuguese, I don't need to translate, right? It's really bad. Okay, this one, it's interesting because one of the things that you don't do, Brazilian mix sometimes social media and branding with your personal use of social media. Here, you literally have this company that sells lamps. They put, one of the managers of the company is a model, and he's in this modeling career. There was this type of, how can I say, she could like win some type of a prize and be on the cover of magazines and so on as a model. They put it on the website of the brand, like a brand that sells lamps. They put the picture of the manager making propaganda for the manager to win these pictures or something. So, and I got it. No, it's not here because one of the colleagues from the company, he says something like, yeah, if our manager actually posted that, we have to go and like it, we have to spread to everybody. but it's something that has nothing to do with the company. So being careful and not mixing personal use of social media with your company. This here is interesting, and it's one of my favorites because this is the page for social media networking. It's a Facebook page that City Hall of Curitiba, which is one of our capitals, like in the south of Brazil. And as I said, because for Brazilians, we are still changing this mindset of social media as fun to business. If you can try to make it fun as a way of engaging with your users, points for you. Like you score. And this is really nice because they are talking about, we have one day with sun, and our record is 3 days straight ahead with sun. And then one of the users started making fun openly, saying, "Oh, this is the best you can get of a picture. It's a page for a city hall and so on, and this is the quality of the picture you post and so on." And then someone wrote, "I miss Paint." You all remember Paint, the program that we all used long time ago to edit pictures and so on. And the person, to make fun, said, "I miss Paint," and put a heart, like making fun of all you are so bad in doing this that you use a Paint. Then comes the nice reply. It's one of my favorites because the community manager posted something like, it cannot be, the print screen is not that great, but basically say, if you miss something, we should never allow you to miss something you love. So because you love it so much and you put a heart for it, we are going to send a picture of what you love to you. And they literally posted a picture of Paint of 1997. Literally, I don't know how they did that, but they say, okay, this is what you love, and that's how they dealt with criticism. So if you can deal with criticism in a funny way, points for you. So yeah, there are a number of fans on the Facebook page grew a lot after that, so it's an interesting case. Okay, and this is my favorite, the company that does social media in Brazil. Because of the way they deal with it, it's called Ponto Frio. It's a store that sells furniture, electronics, and so on, and it has a really big and good online presence in being not just relevant but reliable. Because until I would say a few years, Brazilians wouldn't see e-commerce and the possibility of even like buying online or engaging online as something good or possible. And they are great. Most of what they do is through tweets. If you research anything regarding social media in Brazil, they are referenced. Their how can I say, their mascot, it's a penguin, as you can see here. So if you talk about penguin in Brazil, everybody knows who is penguin because of how famous they are for their tweets. This is, for example, this is an example of the first image of a really good, I would say, timing with things. Because G1, it's a news portal, it's the biggest news portal we have in Brazil. They started dealing with problems or having, for example, some really old tweets being tweeted again. So it's some type of bug in the system. And it happened to be, they happened to post the word atum, which is tuna. So just the word tuna shows in the tweet of the portal. And then they tweet to answer the portal, "I prefer sardines," and it could be even like grilled in my George Foreman griller. So and then there's like gnocchi, which is like eating or something. And it's really nice how they use the sense of humor and the timing, to deal with a failure of the other person, but not really criticizing, but trying to make it fun and trying to make it engaging. So this was retweeted a lot, like this answer, and it's really famous in Brazil as one of the best answers in social media for customers. And here you have, like, it's really interesting, for example, how they engage not only with users in a funny, interesting way, but here I have an example of them engaging there as well. But here with Netflix, which everybody knows, online you can pay money, buy movies and so on to watch online. And they talk to each other through tweet. Like you can really watch it as if you were really two people like talking. So the one like suggests like maybe the penguin of Ponto Frio maybe would like to enjoy this cold weather to dance. You could go watch Happy Feet, and then the penguin answers to Netflix, of course, and I could be watching all the movies on my TV that I can actually buy at Ponto Frio, and then they post the link. And it's really nice the conversation that they created, and they were promoting their brands, and everybody was retweeting this. So really good example. Engage with customers, engage with other brands, but always do that in a funny and engaging way. So you will promote yourself, everybody will talk about you. Once again, word of mouth, and you will be famous. So yeah. I would just give some mentions on the future for Brazil regarding not just social media and but gadgets and so on. The social, I would say the website, like the social media networking site that has been growing the most in Brazil now is LinkedIn. It is interesting because we have a really young population. Most of the users are really young. LinkedIn has already 13 million users in Brazil. And people are discovering in Brazil not just the potential for relating to other people, business, but as well to finding jobs. So, and I heard that they also have plans, LinkedIn also has plans to open an office in Brazil. So it's a future, I would say. Okay. Okay, mobile. Like if you have a brand, it's saying that 53.9% of the Brazilians, their access to the internet is done through mobile. So if you have your company, you have to think about apps, you have to think about ways of engaging also with your users through mobile applications. And then it's saying that the access like through cell phones or smartphones is almost as frequent as the access through desktop and notebook, this access to the internet. So it's another possibility for the future. It's growing a lot the number of users like of internet through mobile. Yeah, these are also like some of the numbers, just like for you to have an idea. This telegeography is also one of the companies that do with numbers related like to internet and so on. So if we had the 267 millions like raise in profits to business and everything done through the internet and also through the use of mobile. And eMarketer showing some pretty recent article showing that internet in Brazil has reached 85% of the country. So it is a really interesting. Mobile is also one of the interesting and future ways of engaging with your users. Yeah, videos. As I said before, the number of people engaging with the internet and so on through video has been growing a lot. We have faced in a year a growth of almost 20%, which is quite interesting. The use of tablets as well as one of the new technologies has been growing a lot. So once again, apps is part of the future, and the use of tablets just goes up with that. For example, those are like two articles that are more dealing with the possibilities for e-commerce and the growth of e-commerce in Brazil. As I said in the beginning, middle class, the power for buying has grown a lot in Brazil in this past few years. We are supposedly now the sixth biggest economy, and one of the things that was selling the most were this online, the gadgets. So you see potential for technology, you see potential for e-commerce, online commerce, and that. And this another research which was it's a little older, but I was checking this morning also that the possibilities for buying online. Brazilians are starting, the numbers have been showing that Brazilians are trusting a lot more in actually buying products online, so e-commerce is another possibility, not just engage with your users, but offer their products online. Okay, the possibilities also, here you have some of the numbers. I would just highlight the number of online buyers in Brazil, that for 2015, it's showing that we are going to reach close to 32 million users buying things online. So companies should definitely invest in that. And a lot of investments are being done now. It wasn't something really significant before, but it's growing a lot in regarding display ads used online. So it's something really interesting, growing a lot, and that companies should also invest on. Yeah, that's it. Sorry if I talk too much, and just if you have any questions, anything.